I just made a little over $1,700 day trading. I'm gonna show you how I read the market, what my patterns were for getting into a trade, and then how I managed to trade once I was in. So after this video, you will know my exact strategy that I use to make consistent money and trades every single morning. So every morning, the first thing I do is I look at a larger time frame of the market to see where the key areas of support and resistance are. And so today on oil futures, which is what I'm currently looking at, you can see that we're clearly coming up to this area where the market has bounced off multiple times, and there's this high all the way over here as well. And so my thought is, okay, we're at a resistance area. The market's coming up here and it's likely to potentially reverse. And so that's the first thing that I do every morning as I look through a couple of charts. I'm trading futures markets, so they're a little bit different than shares. And so what I look for is I look for a couple key steps to look for the market to reverse. And so I generally like to look to enter in on a 1 minute chart actually. And so the idea is I use the smaller time frames to get a more accurate entry. And so the biggest thing I like to see is that there's an uptrend into that level that is broken, because what I'm doing is I'm looking for a larger reversal. It allows you to risk, a small amount and potentially capture a large amount of money in return. And so with this trade, I saw that, okay, on a 1 minute and a 5 minute, you can clearly see that there was this uptrend and it's clearly broken that. And so the next thing is, it's essentially made a double top here. It kind of sold off a little bit. It made a slightly newer high and then had some really nice selling off of that area, I think showing a good amount of weakness. And so the last thing I really like to look for when getting into a trade like this is wait for that it to kind of make a pullback here. And so what it did here was it essentially pulled back here once, pulled back again, and made a double top here. And so I elected to jump in as it broke lower right here. And so here is a recording of my actual trade this morning. If I just zoom back and kind of show you exactly where I entered, you can see here's that trend broken. It's a little more zoomed in, but right as I broke below this area, I thought that this made a nice kind of bearish flag. And so I'm gonna get in on the breakout of that. And then from there, I kind of just have to sit and wait. You always have to let your trade kind of play out. And so I actually meant to go smaller size. I wanted to go half size on this. Generally I risk about 600 is my full size right now. And I meant to go half size. I meant to trade about 2 contracts. Right now I'm 3 contracts. And because I felt that, this is getting in a little early, I'd actually like to, if we go back to a 5 minute chart, I'd like to wait to see it make some kind of pullback on a 5 minute chart, and then I might add in. And so essentially I'll be scaling in and increase my size. And so that signal would have been right here actually, which is actually right here after it had made this pullback and then gone in. And so that's where I could have increased my size. I didn't want to double down or increase my size more than my normal. That's a little too aggressive. And then from there, it's just about letting things play out, right? And so for me, I'm watching other markets and it takes a while to get going here, but it eventually does. And so what I do for my managing is I like to give it wiggle room, let it get going before I move close to break even at all. And so I actually have this tool. It's specifically for NinjaTrader, and it allows me to say, okay, if I want to trade 3 contracts, this is how much I'm risking. And then here's my profit targets of, okay, now I'm up 1x, 2x, 3x. And I can see, okay, how much money am I potentially up in the trade? And I like to let it get to about here before I move to break even. And so I'm about to move to break even on the trade. And so there I moved to break even. And you can see it's starting to get going in our favor. And so a big thing was, okay, you can see here on the left is there is kind of a previous level. And so if we go back to a 5 minute chart, just to kind of look at the bigger picture, once it kind of gets going, okay, we're coming down to this potential support area here. And you can see the market's kind of bounced here multiple times. And so you want to be aware of that is, okay, this is a minor level, but I like to go for these quick swings. And so here, the oil is not super weak right now. It was going really back and forth. Up here it was really back and forth, and then it kind of made a nice move. And so here I was like, it's made a little bounce. I'm gonna move my stop down to here because I think either it's gonna keep going lower here or it's going to come up here. And you got to protect your profits, right? You want to give trades wiggle room, but you don't want to give them too much wiggle room because otherwise it's just too much. And so here, the market, again, just kind of giving a wiggle room, being patient. That's what you always have to do with trading and going for these larger swings, is it's hard sometimes. And then the market starts to break down here a little bit. And again, my thought is, okay, I just want to tighten up. I want to be kind of aggressive taking my profits because we're at this little support level and the market's not really showing that much weakness. I don't think it's likely that we potentially go and make a larger move down here. So then all of a sudden the market starts to move really quickly and I move my profit target to 3x, which is about 50% pullback of this bar, and it knocks me out at 3x, which is about, I think, $1,710. And so one thing I'm struggling with is, I actually did it in my last little quick recap video, is tightening up my stop really quick. Is, you know, I didn't really need to tighten my stop up right here. I could have let it stay up here and give it a little bit more wiggle room, or even here. And so of course this is a little bit in hindsight, because to show you, you can see it's starting to just go really far lower. And if I just kind of zoom forward on a minute chart just to show you, is it went lower a lot. And so the trade would have been, you know, something like a 6x, right? And so that's a lot bigger of a trade. But you know, that's how it goes, right? Is trading is all about learning. You got to take these opportunities, you got to take these as lessons and move on to the next trade. And so if you want a more detailed walkthrough of my whole strategy, because I did go through it pretty quickly, this is more just a trade recap video, check out this video right here.